Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Alexis, for those of you who don't know me, and I am the owner of alexisrosedesign.com. I also have an Etsy shop. Make sure if you're not already to follow me on Instagram. I post lots of tips and tricks if you are just getting started with Cricut or silhouette crafting. So today I wanted to just give a really basic overview of Cricut Design Space for people that are brand new and have no idea where to even begin. This is a very basic tutorial, so if you are someone who is more intermediate or advanced and you know how to work Design Space, this is definitely not the video for you, but I will be posting more advanced tutorials in the next couple of weeks. So when you download Cricut Design Space, you open it, you start a new project, you're going to see this wonderful blank canvas. And some of the options are self-explanatory, so I apologize if it seems redundant that I'm showing you some of these things, but I just want to make sure that you know how this software works. So as you can see, I have nothing on my canvas, so my toolbar at the top and my layers palette, I can't click on anything because there is nothing to manipulate. So let's take a look at the toolbar that we can manipulate on our left. So if you want to start a new project, obviously you would click on new here. Then we have templates. So this is really great if you're just getting started and you're not really sure how big or small to make some of your designs. Cricut has these pre-designed templates where they've already measured some common objects that people decorate, and you can shape your design based on these predetermined templates. So let's say I want to decorate a mason jar. So where's jar? I'm going to insert it onto my canvas. And my Cricut's not going to cut out the shape of the mason jar, but it's just a good reference. So it says right here, templates are for reference only and will not be saved with your project. So if I want to get rid of the jar and go back to a regular canvas, I just come down here in the bottom right-hand corner and make the canvas blank. Then you have projects, which is where you will find all of the Cricut projects that are ready to go. All you have to do is press make. Anything with this green A here is a Cricut Access product, and as you can see, you get a 30-day free trial when you download Design Space. I definitely recommend, if you're just starting out, to take a look at this because it's really easy. It's much easier to practice on projects that are already made for you and ready to go. You can also find all of your saved projects by going to the drop-down and My Projects. Images is where you can import pretty much any image that you can think of. And again, these are Cricut Access, so you either have to pay the price that it says, or you get it for free if you have Cricut Access, which I believe is around $8 a month. Like I said, it's definitely worth it when you're just starting out, so you don't have to look all over the place for images. We have our text tool. I'll talk about this in a little bit. Shape tool, and upload is where you are going to upload your personal images. So as you can see, I have some images here that I've already uploaded, and you are able to upload SVGs, PNGs, pretty much any type of image you can upload to Design Space, and then you can turn it into a cut file. Let's go back to my canvas and let's insert a shape. So I want to make a circle. Here we go. To change the color of the circle, you would click here. You can make it whatever color you want. Now, this color doesn't necessarily mean anything because I can put a black piece of paper into my Cricut and it will cut the circle out black. But if you are trying to just differentiate and get an idea of what your project's going to look like, you can change the colors on the different layers. You can also decide what you want your Cricut to do. So I want my Cricut to cut this circle out, but you can have your Cricut draw. So by putting a pen in the into the accessory on your Cricut, or score. So score is where you make perforated lines so you can fold the paper. We just want to leave it as cut. You can select all or deselect, edit, which is your cut, copy, and paste. And these are two of my favorite options that you have to kind of help you with your project. So align, I only have one object here. So in order to use align or arrange, you need to have two. So let's go over here to duplicate. Now I have two circles and I want these two circles to be perfectly centered. So I'm going to go to align, center horizontally, and you see it shifted it ever so slightly, but they're perfectly aligned. Arrange is how you can move your layers back and front. So let's make this a different color. Let's make this blue. So I want to move this to the back. And as you can see, it rearranged it on my canvas. Flip, you can flip it horizontally or vertically, which doesn't mean anything for a circle. It's always going to stay the same. Sizing, pretty self-explanatory. If you want this to stay a perfect circle, like see how I'm dragging it and it's a perfect circle? If you want it to stay that way, you want to leave the lock option on, but if you unlock it, you can manipulate it to be pretty much anything that you want. But let's go back. You can rotate and then you can put the X and Y axis of where you want it, where you want the shape to be on your Cricut on the mat. So you can also move it around and then you can see it will change. So that's a pretty basic understanding of the top toolbar. Now I'm going to show you how you use some of these features over here. So when I go to my text tool, I want to put text on this circle and I want it to cut out of the circle. Like I don't want a separate piece that has my text. I actually want my circle to be a cutout with the text in it. So I want to use the words happy birthday. And you know what? I want to use a script font. So that means that I have to, okay, let's find one of my favorite script fonts. Now, oh my goodness. Take a look at this. This is not script because the letters are not connecting. So I'm going to show you what you need to do in order to get these letters to connect and be one, two cuts, right? So happy would be one and birthday would be another. So if I go over here, I see that I can change the style. Let's leave it as is. I can change the font size, letter spacing. So I'm going to bring the letters together until they look connected. But here's what's going to happen. These look really connected and I don't want to move those anymore, but these aren't. So I am going to right click and select ungroup. So now I can select each individual letter and I'm going to move them ever so slightly so they connect. That looks good. So I want to take each of these words and I want to weld them together because this is what you're going to notice. If I select, let's move this out of the way. If I select the font and I make it a lighter color so you can see, you're going to notice that there are lines separating each individual letter. That's because my Cricut thinks that it's going to cut out each letter individually, which is not what you want when you're cutting script fonts. So I'm going to select, I'm dragging my mouse across the text, and I'm going to go down here to weld. Now watch what happens to the lines when I press weld. So now my Cricut is going to cut the outline and then it's going to cut the negative space out, versus if we take a look at the happy portion, oops, I didn't weld this together yet. You can see it wants to cut out each letter individually. So we're gonna weld that as well. Let's zoom out again. So the weld function is, you can use it with text. You can also use it if I wanted to make this shape like a double circle, duplicate. I want to align it vertically. Watch what happens when I weld this together. My two circles become one. But let's go back. I want to take my circle. Also, to go back, you can click the undo button, but I press Command Z on my Mac. If you are on a Windows computer, it's Control Z. So just go back until I have my one circle. Now I wanted to make a cutout. So what I need to do is, let's make sure that everything's centered. I am obsessed with doing this. Looks good. Now I want the text to be cut out of my circle. So I'm going to use my slice tool over here. Now you can only slice 2 objects at a time. If I selected everything, you would notice my slice tool is unavailable. So I am going to select my circle. And now to click down on, I want to select happy. So I'm going to hold down on shift, click the word happy, and slice it. So now you'll see it's cut out my text and now it's transparent. Birthday went to the back, so I am going to arrange it and bring it to the front. Select my circle and slice it. So now I have a circle that will cut the text out. We also have a feature over here called contour. And contour is basically just a way that you can manipulate each individual piece that's going to be cut out. So let's zoom out a little bit. These are all the different contour pieces. So if I wanted to remove, let's say I wanted to remove the circle, I would click on the circle, and then when I go back, it would be gone. I can do a video further explaining that because it gets a little complicated, but just think of it as it's just how you manipulate all of the individual pieces. Now, okay. Now I have this as a cut file, but I want to make text. Let's use a different font just so we can spice it up a little bit. So I want to print this out, and I don't want it to just be cut out on a piece of cardstock. I actually want to use my printer, have it cut out, let's see, maybe in the color purple, and then I want my Cricut to cut out my printed letters. So right now my Cricut doesn't know that I want to print it. So in order for me to let my Cricut know that I want to do a print then cut, I'm going to go over here to flatten, and as you can see, the black outline that was telling me it was a cut has gone away. Let's talk about one more option, which is the attach option. So I showed you how when I was doing a weld, it made my 2 shapes become one. Now, I don't want these 2 shapes to become one, but I do want them to stay exactly the way that they look on my mat. No. I want them to. I want my Cricut to cut these 2 shapes out in the exact position that they are right now. So I'm going to select both of them and attach, and as you can see, they became one group on my layers palette. So wherever one goes, the other goes. We also have the color sync option, which is if you want to see all of the different colors that are on your project. So let's duplicate this. Let's duplicate this 3 times. So these are all the same color, but let's make this one yellow. Let's make this one orange. And if you go over here to color sync, it is going to sync all of the images based on the color, which will help when you press make and when you press make it and you go to create your first project. So that is an extremely basic overview of Cricut Design Space. I hope that you found it helpful. I will do more in-depth tutorials about the different features, but that was just for the person who, like I said, just got their Cricut. They're ready to dive in, but they don't exactly know where to start. If you have any specific questions, you can DM me on Instagram or you can leave a comment below.